Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We have been seeing a lot of positive psychology concepts these days, and today I'm going to talk about resilience. Yes, we all are facing this situation of COVID-19 pandemic, and the resilience is one such topic which we have been coming across, but we do not know what does that actually mean. So today I am a certified handwriting and signature analyst, the founder of Ecrivo. You write, we discover, and I'm going to talk about the concept of resilience and how through a variety of formations in your handwriting, you can actually know about whether a person is resilient or not. Not just that, we are not only going to analyze these traits through handwriting, but also going to study in depth about the concept of resilience, the types of resilience, and the resilience theory. Along with that, there'll be other things as well which will be discussed in this concept. So let's begin our session on resilience. The first point is, what is the definition of resilience? So the term resilience actually comes from a Latin word resilio, which means bouncing or re-emerging. As a layman, we say that resilience is a concept which refers to coming back or not giving up despite failures. It actually refers to recovering from the difficult life situations. Or in other words, it actually means withstanding adversity and bouncing back despite the downturns and despite the different happenings around us. So there are circumstances which actually change our life. We sometimes sketched a different life and another thing happens to us. There are people who have also gone through catastrophes, terminal diseases, and traumatic facts throughout their childhood. Despite that, they manage to develop as mature individuals, adjust to the society, and display their abilities. Do you know how do they do that? That have been because they were resilient. Yes, resilient resilience is not a trait which is like a trampoline where you are down one moment and up next moment. It's more like climbing a mountain without a trail map, which is slow and steady. It takes time, strength, and help from the people around you at times as well, where you are likely to have a lot of setbacks along the way, but eventually you reach the top, and when you look back, you'll see how far you have come. So, we are going to look at the various theories of resilience as well. Investigators have demonstrated that resilience is not something which is extraordinary that an individual has, but it is more of a common characteristic that most of the people have, which is possible to be developed through various specific strategies. People face a lot of different adversities throughout their life. There are personal crises, illness, loss of loved ones, abuse, bullying, job loss, financial instability, etc. There is a shared reality of tragic events in the news as well. When we look at terrorist attacks, wars, riots, mass shootings, and of course, how can we forget the COVID-19 pandemic? People have to learn to cope with and go through very challenging life situations. And thus, the resilience theory refers to the ideas surrounding how people are affected by and how do they adapt to these different situations, adversity, change, loss, and risk. Being resilient doesn't really mean that the person will not go through these experiences of stress, emotional upheaval, and suffering, but it actually means that through resilience with mental toughness, people will demonstrate and work through the emotional pain and suffering in a pretty and a beautiful, efficient manner. So, resilience isn't a fixed trait. Flexibility, adaptability, and perseverance can help people tap into the resilience by changing certain thoughts and behaviors. Even the research has shown that people who believe that they have the intellectual abilities and social attributes can develop resilience and therefore a low stress response to the adversity or the changing situation that they're going through. So now we are going to look at what are the pillars of resilience or the protective factors. So the first one is the self-esteem and trust. So the people who have self-esteem, confidence in their own abilities, this forms the basis of on what all factors the person's resilience abilities are built in. Resilient individuals trust their abilities. They are very conscious of their potential, their limitations, and that allows them to determine their goals and feel sure of achieving them. The next one is the introspection. The people, introspection basically refers to when a person directs their energy and thinks about their own strengths and weaknesses. They ask questions to themselves and answer them honestly. So these people who are resilient, they have they have a tendency of asking questions to themselves, which depends upon how much self-esteem they have and what they have developed from others' recognition as well. The next one is independence. Being able to set limits between yourself and the conflicting medium. That is, you are independent decision maker, you know what decisions you're making helps you to keep an emotional and physical distance without falling into the isolation. Ability to relate to others is another pillar which refers to when you establish relationships and bonds with other individuals and you know when you will get the support. So these resilient people go through a potentially traumatic event. The first goal they have in mind is to get over it. And they are conscious of the emotional and the social support that they have to get. And at that point of time, they do not hesitate in even getting the professional help. Next is the initiative and tenacity. They are flexible, they know how to manipulate, how to change and adjust their goals depending upon the kind of situation they are in. But at the same time, they also know how to take the advantage of the current situation they are into. Humor. They find the funny side of the tragedy at times as well and try to face the adversity with a pinch of humor. One of the essential characteristics in the sense of humor that contributes one person to stay optimistic and it doesn't allow them to flow with the negative thoughts around them. Creativity. So these people who are resilient also try to bring in more innovative and creative ideas in order to get out of the painful situations by thinking about the out of the box solutions. The resilient individuals, they'll make a beautiful mosaic out of the broken pieces that they have been given. They do not try to control the situations. Resilient people are very sure of the locus of control, that is internal. They try to direct their energy upon themselves by how they can utilize the time they are into rather than blaming the outside situations or trying to control the situations which are out of their sphere of control. That is why when something gets away in their way, they try to take another route rather than just putting that block or hurdle off their path. Flexibility before change. Even though resilient individuals have a clear self-image and how perfect they are and what they want to achieve in a particular span of time, they are very flexible in adjusting their plans and changing their goals as well. So although they have a set schedule, a target to be achieved, still they know how to be flexible depending upon the adversely changing situations and they are not reluctant to change because they try to evaluate what the situation is and then they try to adjust themselves in the similar manner. Ethics. Ethics is something which is the ability to commit to your own values and the good behavior towards others. The resilient individuals understand that the personal desire must be of the common good and the well being of everyone around them, and that's why they do not lose their ethics in by facing when they are facing some challenging situations or threatening events. Ability for a critical sense, that is their self knowledge. Self-knowledge is a powerful tool at the time of facing adversities and challenges, and resilient people very well know how to use it for their own advantage. So these were some of the pillars of resilience or the protective factors that individuals use in order to deal and combat with the situations they are into and bounce back without giving up. Next, we move on to the types of resilience. So there are four different types of resilience that we are going to discuss today. One is the psychological resilience. Psychological resilience basically refers to the ability to mentally withstand and adapt to the uncertain, challenging situations and adversity. It can also be called as the mental fortitude. People who have psychological resilience develop coping strategies and capabilities that enable them to remain calm and focused during a crisis and move out of it in a very calm and composed manner without facing long term consequences. The second type is the emotional resilience. So, the emotional trauma that a person goes through, or the kind of emotions they're going through, differs from a person to person, and their intensity and frequency can also vary depending upon how much stress a person is going on. Some people by nature are more or less sensitive to change, and they respond to a situation in such a manner that they flow with the emotions and they flow with the situation. However, the emotionally resilient people understand what they are feeling and why. They tap into realistic optimism even when dealing with a crisis and are proactive in using both internal as well as external resources for their benefit and for dealing with the situation they are in. So, as a result, they are able to manage the stressors as well as their emotions in a healthy and a very positive manner. The third kind of resilience is the physical resilience. So, physical resilience refers to the body's ability to combat and to adapt to the challenges by maintaining their stamina as well as strength, which, which helps a person to recover quickly and efficiently. So, physical resilience actually refers to a person's ability to function and recover when faced with an illness, an accident, or other physical demands. Even there has been several researches in this regard that has happened which says that healthy lifestyle leads to more physical resilience in an individual, and that can be done through maintaining the cycle of the sleep, having good rest, exercise, etc. The next one is the community resilience. The last type of resilience is refers to the ability of the group of people to respond and recover from the adverse situations such as natural disasters, acts of violence, and of course the pandemic situation that we all are going through. So real life examples of community resilience can be the New York following the 9/11 terrorist attacks that happened and the COVID-19 pandemic that's happening all over the world. So, as a whole, our resilience is something wherein the entire world is handling the situation and supporting as a social group, as a community, and the entire people is resilient and sure of bouncing back from the situation. That's how the community resilience happens. Next, we move on to the 7 C's of resilience. So there are 7 C's of resilience that have been given, which are: one is competence. This is the ability of a person to know how to handle the situations effectively. So to build competence, individuals develop a set of skills which help them to trust their judgments and make responsible choices. Next is confidence. So true self-confidence is rooted into competence of an individual. If a person is aware of their skills, they have maintained a set of skills, then eventually they'll develop the confidence as well by demonstrating competence in the real life situations. Connection. Here, the connection refers to the close ties with family, friends, and relatives, which provide a sense of security and belongingness to an individual, and helps them to deal with the situations in a better manner and therefore emerge more resilient. Then is character. Individual needs fundamental sense of what is right and what is wrong to make responsible choices, contribute to the society and experience their self-worth that comes to the kind of character they have built in for themselves. Then is contribution. So in the face of adversity, it's not only about your own self and being resilient by your own self, but it also requires contributing to the society as a whole to deal with the situation. So contributing to one's community reinforces positive reciprocal relationships as well. Because once you help somebody to become and bounce back from a situation, someday or the other, they also might help you. Next is coping. When people learn to cope with the stress effectively, they are better prepared to handle the adversities and the setbacks that they are going through. Control. Developing an understanding of internal control, as I discussed before as well, the internal locus of control helps individuals act in a manner that is more solution oriented rather than problem oriented. So, when individuals learn that they can control the outcomes of their actions, their decisions, they are more likely to view themselves as capable and confident. So these are the different personal strengths, outside resources, and the combination of different things that has an interplay in making a person resilient. Now let's have a look at how can we analyze different traits in an individual's handwriting. So resilience is not just one concept in an individual's handwriting, but it's a combination of different traits. Some of these we are going to discuss today. Apart from them, there are many others as well. So these are some indicators that you can see in an individual's handwriting and know what traits that do they have which relate to them to make them more resilient individuals.